Welcome to Miles Ahead, the Canadian Points Podcast, brought to you by FrugalFlyer.ca, where we talk about all things miles and points, a hobby that allows us to travel all over the world in style and on a budget. This episode will cover all the recent points and miles news, along with some questions from you, our loyal listeners. Remember that you can always skip around in the episode using the links in the show notes, and please leave a rating or a review wherever you are listening or watching. As per usual, I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Josh and Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Danny. Never a boring time in miles and points. We got a whole stack of news to get through today.
Yeah, lots to talk about, so let's get to it.
Yes. So, Josh, kicking us off, we've got some BMO news and then also some Frugal Flyer news in here as well.
Absolutely. So we're happy to announce, we've already been running it for a few weeks now, but there's a limited time exclusive offer through Frugal Flyer on the BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite card. So it offers up to 80,000 BMO rewards points and no annual fee for the first year. The BMO Eclipse Visa Infinite card, not a bad card. It does earn 5 BMO rewards points for every dollar spent on grocery, gas, dining, and transit purchases, up to a set dollar limit per calendar year. So you might find a space in your wallet for this card, but only up to maybe spending a set amount compared to some other options out there. The card does also offer a $50 anniversary lifestyle credit, which is super easy to use. You just automatically get it when you spend over $200 in a purchase, and you can earn a monthly $20 streaming credit upon spending, I believe it's $500 every month. So could be worth looking into. Most importantly, this offer runs until the end of June, and we actually also have a limited time Flyer Funds increased rebate on it. So new cardholders who apply through Frugal Flyer can receive 175 Flyer Funds, which it's a great time to take advantage of that offer when you consider that the card is already first year annual fee free. So worth looking into. Make sure you take advantage before June 30th if you're interested in applying for that card with that elevated exclusive offer and elevated rebate. So on the flip side, Frugal Flyer has an exciting announcement. And if you've been following the site, you might have already seen it. So we're hosting our second Miles and Points meetup of the year. We did one back in February in Edmonton, and we're doing another one in Edmonton on Saturday, June 27th. So tickets are now available. Tickets are $40, and they do increase as we sell more. So if you are interested in attending, it's definitely worth it to buy a ticket sooner rather than later. We've booked a nice private space at Campio Ritchie, which is a brewery in Edmonton. Really good food, really good drinks. And with that private space, the tickets are $40 this time, but we're including a full dinner. It includes a dinner of salads, Detroit deep dish pizzas, chicken wings, dessert. Attendees are responsible for their own drinks, but drinks are completely reasonably priced, whether you're more of a beer, cocktail, soda person. There's lots of options. I know we've all attended Miles and Points meetups in the past in Edmonton and other cities, and we all know that there's just so much value from these networking sessions and spending time with others in the hobby. So if you're wanting to, connect with the community, learn a bit more, connect with the Frugal Flyer team and other Miles and Points enthusiasts in Edmonton and from beyond, we often get people flying in from out of city to attend our meetups. It's definitely a great opportunity. So we'd love to see you out there if you can make it. We will include a link in the show notes to the ticket sale link, but you can also go on Eventbrite and search Frugal Flyer to find our event. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, should be a fantastic time. And what is also a fantastic time, it's like the staples, cue the music. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Jeff, why might I be thinking that it is the most wonderful time of the year that always seems to be an annual occurrence with the Royal Bank of Canada?
Yeah, this has just become so consistent now that we expect it every spring, and it's here once again. We're, of course, talking about the super popular 30% transfer bonus from RBC Avion to British Airways Avios. If you've been in points and miles for a while, you already know what this is. It's a 30% transfer bonus. That means your 10,000 points is now worth 13,000 points. The promo's already ongoing. It's been ongoing for just over a week now, and it runs till June 19th. So plenty of time. You still got plenty of time to get your transfers in. And this also coincides with all-time high welcome offers on 3 Avion cards right now. So the Avion Visa Infinite, which is the most popular of the 3 cards, I'm going to say that's the one people usually get. You get the 30
35.
35,000 points on approval. It doesn't get any easier than that. And then you have the option of doing the 5K spend for an additional 20,000 points. Some people do it, some people don't. You're coming out way ahead either way. And then up to 100,000 on the Visa Infinite Privilege. Now, I'm not super into this offer. I don't know about you guys. I don't really think the lounge passes are worth it at this point, which is what you get with the Visa Infinite Privilege. The lounge passes are kind of like Nexus credits now. They're on every card, so I find that there's way too many lounge passes now if you have a lot of cards like, we do. So
yeah. I'm more of an Avion Visa Infinite guy.
Yeah, me too, for sure. If you meet the income requirement and you don't mind paying, because I think you have to spend a second annual fee to earn the additional welcome bonus. Is that correct?
So you would get it in the 13th statement after you make any purchase. So usually banks are pretty lenient with, if you cancel in the 13th month, they'll refund your full annual fee or downgrade. And you know what, with RBC, actually, as I'm saying it, it's super easy to downgrade online and just get a full rebate of your annual fee. So it's broken out into the same 35,000 points when you sign up for the Visa Infinite Privilege. And then you have the exact same 20,000 bonus points when you spend 5,000 in 6 months. And the extra part here comes on anniversary. So you get 45,000 points on anniversary with this card in comparison to just 15,000 points with the Visa Infinite and Visa Platinum. So really, when we're comparing the Infinite Privilege to the lower cost of Visa cards, you're paying an extra $279 in annual fee for 30,000 Avion. So just under a penny a point for an Avion point. When we break down the math like that, Josh, does this make any sense to you that you would say, I have to get the Visa Infinite Privilege?
I think if you go into it, provided you meet the personal and the household income requirements, which are way higher on this card, of course, provided you go into it with the mindset of putting a note 13 months down the road in your calendar, so you're not getting double dinged on that. And even if you do, right, you can downgrade whenever and get a prorated, so it's not a big deal. But if you're fine with holding the card for a year and going down that road, I think it's worth it. I'm the same as Jeff. I would just completely ignore the lounge passes. Frankly, they're like Jeff said on every card, and I'm sick of airlines or banks marketing lounge passes is worth like $50 each. It's so not the truth. It's such a crappy trend, but just for the points, the extra money spent for the points, even if you're not taking advantage of a transfer bonus like we're talking about, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. If you're struggling to find Avion, or if you have somebody in your life that wants a simple solution that meets the income requirement and they want to get 100,000 points in one swing, this is a great way to do that. Yeah. And then it's also worth noting that with this 30% transfer bonus, we have to pay attention to the lower end of the RBC market as well. So like the Ion Plus is a card we talk about a lot. It earns 3 points per dollar on gas, groceries, dining, and then a few other less common categories. But if you have a 30% transfer bonus and you're earning 3 points for every dollar you spend, you're effectively earning 3.9 points for every dollar that you're spending on that card, which is absolutely bonkers that you can get almost four transferable points for every dollar you're spending on very common categories for a card that costs less than $50 a year.
Yeah, it's great. That's excellent value.
Yeah. So
very good gas card for sure.
Yeah. So when we look at, realistically, if you don't have any Avion points right now and you're like, this all sounds great, but what can I do with, getting 55,000 Avios and then transferring them to getting 55,000 Avion and then transferring them to British Airways, you'd effectively be left with 71,500 Avios. And Josh, what are some examples that people might be able to do with that many Avios for signing up for one of the Avion Visa Infinite Platinum or Privilege cards?
Yeah, I think it's always, I like your approach with this. I think it's important to look at what can you do with the sign up from one card, right? It's easy to talk multiple cards in this, but like what could you book today if you got the card, got the full bonus, and took advantage of the transfer bonus. So starting out, you could book a round trip Toronto to Madrid flight. You'd be flying one way in business class and one way in economy on Iberia. So a trip right there. Fantastic. You can also do a round trip anywhere in North America on American Airlines business class, only 54,000 Avios. Great redemption as well. Nothing wrong with that. For those who want to travel to Europe, you can book a one-way to Finland with Finnair in business class for 62,000 Avios. You can also do a round trip on British Airways economy class from all of Canada. Easy enough to book. And then you can do 2 times or 2 round trips from Toronto to Dublin with off-peak dates on Aer Lingus. So there's some great redemptions in there. It's well worth searching, and there's always higher end redemptions as well. I know, we have our next episode coming out that talks all about Avion and the things you can do it. And I know we've been big fans in the past of using it for things like Japan Airlines and Qatar Airways and other redemptions like that. So if you wanted to save up a bit more, there's even more redemptions that you can do down the road with your points.
Yeah, and keeping with the trend of Avios, Jeff, there's a new and not very exciting, but at least interesting option to book Philippine Airlines with Qatar Avios. And we've actually seen availability from Vancouver to Manila.
Yeah, I actually think this is pretty exciting. I mean, I live in Vancouver, so anytime there's a new redemption option for Vancouver, I think it's pretty exciting. So Philippine Airlines is not a member of any major airline alliance, so they've, I guess, just now decided to partner up with Qatar Airways of all airlines for some reason. So you can now redeem Qatar Airways Avios for Philippine Airlines flights, which is, I think, pretty cool. This is now a really, really nice option for getting to Southeast Asia, which is a tricky place to get to on redemptions, especially in premium cabins lately. So you're looking at 55,000 in economy and 110,000 in business class. Now that 110,000 might sound really high, and it is. But if you factor in a 30% transfer bonus, that brings it down to around, I think, 85,000 points, which is like about what you would expect to pay for a flight from the west coast of North America to Southeast Asia. So I think it lines up perfectly.
Yeah.
And I actually did a bit of digging into this because this is actually a flight that I do intend to take at some point. And unfortunately, the Vancouver route, they send their ancient 777 with a 232 business class config. So not ideal. It's still a lie flat across the ocean. It's still like a 16-hour flight. So it's not like you're going to be uncomfortable. But there's also options from Seattle and I believe San Francisco on their newer A350 for the same price, which have a nicer seat. So always good to have new options. And I think this is a nice addition.
Yeah, you can't beat that for a nonstop. But if I would be heading down a little south to avoid the 232 layout personally, because that's rough as a solo traveler.
Yeah. And interestingly, the taxes and fees were quite reasonable as well. Looking around $300 Canadian, I think we saw 332 Canadian dollars exactly when we're going in the opposite direction from Manila to Vancouver. So in a world of ever increasing taxes and fees and fuel surcharges, $322 isn't nothing, but it's also a lot better than where some of the competitors are at. So this begs the question, with all of this great news about Avios and how we can use them to get around the world, is the time to transfer all of your RBC Avion to British Airways now, or would you want to hold out to potentially transfer to American Airlines when the hopeful transfer bonus shows up for them? Josh, what are your thoughts?
I think it depends, as with everything in this hobby. It's something we say far too often, on your own personal situation and, what you currently have. I think I'm sitting somewhere around like 500,000 Avios at this point, so I'm not looking to add any more to that balance. Frankly, I need to burn those sooner rather than later. So for me, as someone who likes to fly, Qatar, Japan Airlines, and a lot of those kind of redemptions that Avios offers, I think Avios is excellent. For me right now, I'm definitely holding out for the American Airlines AAdvantage transfer bonus, as there's a bit more value in those points for me currently. even with the lesser transfer rate. So that's kind of where I'll be at.
And Jeff, your thoughts?
Yeah, similar to Josh, I have a lot of Avios points right now. It's not by design because I actually had a balance of 0 about a month and a half ago. But I had 2 Qatar Airways itineraries canceled because of what's going on in the region right now. So now my balance has been refunded and now my balance is way up. So I don't really need more right now. So like Josh, I'm probably just going to wait for the AA transfer bonus and then fire all my points over to AA. And normally, I pretty much always take advantage of this promo every year, but this year, just because of the situation, I'm just going to go with AA, I think.
All right. Well, I would say for anybody who has 0 balances in both, if you have no American Airlines miles and you have no British Airways Avios or Avios of any kind, you would probably want to take advantage of this transfer bonus because the British Airways ecosystem has a lot more opportunity to use your points. Not to say the American Airlines side doesn't. There's definitely some great opportunities, but it's more niche. You can use your Avios for many different things. And if you're just getting started in this hobby, easier to sort of zero in on probably Aeroplan, Avios, and then from there you can start to expand your horizons. If you really enjoy this stuff, the points will 100% come back. And if you ever end up at an in-person meetup, you'll figure out how to print points relatively easily as well. So moving on from RBC and their lovely best time of the year transfer bonus, Jeff, you recently wrote in our newsletter about Air Canada expanding rental car earnings.
Yeah, so Air Canada has now entered a new partnership with Hertz, Dollar, and Thrifty. I guess these are all one big conglomerate. They're all probably under the same umbrella. So now when you add your Aeroplan member number to your booking, when you're making a booking through Hertz, Dollar, or Thrifty, you can earn Aeroplan points. Kind of nice. Always nice to have another opportunity to do that double dip or triple dip even maybe. So you'll earn $1 for every $1 spent on Hertz vehicle rentals. Base Aeroplan members will earn 2 points per dollar spent. Aeroplan 25K members, 35K members, and 50K members will all earn 3 points per $1 spent. 75K members is $4 Aeroplan points per $1 spent, and Super Elite is 5 points per $1 spent. That's at Hertz. For Dollar and Thrifty, for everyone, it's 2 points per $1 spent. So, I mean, I'm not a big car rental guy. I'm sure there are people out there that spend a lot of money on car rentals, but as I said, nice opportunity to earn a few more points. Now, Danny, I know you're the Aeroplan status guy, so this is another opportunity, we think, to earn SQC. So how do you think this is going to play out?
Yeah, so we are definitely going to be earning SQC through here. And as Josh so kindly pointed out, actually, before we jumped to record the show, it is going to come out of the 25,000 point partner earning bucket. So if you've already maxed out your Star Alliance earnings or any of the other ways to earn through Starbucks or LCBO or Uber or anything like that, this is all included in that side of things. So you might be, if you're an Aeroplan high status member, earning a decent amount of SQC. So if we remember, the way to earn SQC is for every 5 Aeroplan points you earn, every 5 base Aeroplan points you earn, you are going to get 1 SQC. So if a Super Elite member is earning 5 points for every $1 that they spend, they could potentially, depending on how this posts and how this credits, be earning 1 SQC for every $1 that's spent, which is an amazing earn rate in comparison to the rest of the way to earn status. Now, to max out the everyday partners, you'd still be spending $25,000 on Hertz, Hertz specifically, not just Hertz and Dollar and Thrifty, Hertz specific rental cars to get that 25,000 SQC. But it's the fastest earn rate that's currently available. When Aeroplan 3.0 launched, we thought, Rocket Miles could be a great way to earn even, 4 or 5 SQCs per dollar. Rocket Miles promptly was removed. as a partner of the Aeroplan program, potentially due to us. I would like to think that we influence that in some way or another. But I'd be curious to know. I am not a Super Elite member, so if there is anybody that does a Hertz vehicle rental, I would be curious to know if you have two different earning categories. If you get your base 2 points for every $1 spent, and then you get a bonus point, or if this posts as, you earn 3 points for every dollar, 4 points for every dollar, and you get a boatload more SQC, because as we all know, bonus points do not count towards SQC. It's only the base points. So hopefully these all count as base points, and we can earn slightly more SQC than we did before. But there's also a status match that's a part of this as well. So all Aeroplan Elite members and the select Aeroplan credit card holders are going to receive complimentary status in the Hertz Plus Rewards program. So the core credit card holders, so anything that's a $100 annual fee and a between $200 annual fee, are going to receive Hertz 5-star status, while premium credit card holders are going to get the President's Circle status. Well, you might never use it. It could be worth having for status matching down the line. I know that there's been some creative status match opportunities, like Royal Air Maroc, I believe, was actually accepting car rental status at some point in time. So if you were interested in One World Sapphire, I don't think they ever did it for the Emerald, the top tier, but it could be worth having just for that. All right, moving on to our next piece of news. Rove Miles has now become even more relevant for Canadians as they've added Air Canada Aeroplan as a transfer partner, and they have a 25% transfer bonus available until June 6th. This is probably the only time that a readily available currency for all Canadians has had a transfer bonus to Aeroplan in the last 10 years. There are never any transfer bonuses from American Express Canada into Air Canada Aeroplan, because that's the number one transfer partner. They know everybody wants one, and they're going to send their points there anyway. The best way to accrue Rove Miles is through hotel stays, loyalty eligible ones, and not. We've talked about Rove a little bit, and I'm going to be in the process of writing an article about Rove Miles and how you can interact with it and what those sort of mean. You can look for that a little bit later in the show notes, or keep your eye on the site if you're listening to this or live, so to speak, when it comes out. You can sometimes mattress run stays with Rove. So there's a Rove community that you can join on Discord that we'll put a link to in the show notes. And they sometimes post in their private Discord that's really public, anybody can join, hotels that have insane multipliers, like 60 or 70 points per dollar. And those hotels really just want income, and they just want money, and they don't really care if you show up or not. So you can basically buy Rove Miles occasionally at really good values. And if you plan to transfer to Air Canada Aeroplan with a 25% bonus, you could be looking at a pretty decent purchase price. So something to keep your eye on. You can also buy things like Vrbo, so booking your accommodations through Rove by clicking through like a shopping portal. You can buy Airbnb gift cards that will be US dollar, so keeping that in mind. StubHub and some other vendors are all options. The best play for Rove is if you're in 2-player mode. You want to have the non-points engaged person sign up for an account and then refer the points engaged person, because they currently have a 10% bonus for referral signups. So that way the person who's interested in all of the points and miles and has all of the loyalty accounts and whatnot is going to have the majority of the points, and you're basically earning an extra 10% on top of everything. So, if you look at a 70% or a 70x hotel earning, you can really look at that as a 77x hotel earning. So there's some games to be played here if you're willing to invest a little bit of capital, which if you're just getting going in points and miles and you're gung-ho, this could be a great way to sort of buy miles. Or if you've just got a lot to spend with Airbnb, StubHub, Vrbo, and the other vendors on Rove Miles, highly recommend it. Strangely, you still have to mark your location as USA. You cannot mark and say, I'm Canadian. However, your Canadian phone number will work for their 2FA system, and I've heard it directly from Rove employees that anybody who can get their hands on a +1, so North American extension for phone numbers, will have the option to join Rove and engage with Rove, and they want more people to be using the program. So even though it might seem a little bit strange to mark your location as USA, totally above board to do so, and you wouldn't be in violation of any terms. So, interesting opportunity, and even more relevant for Canadians to be involved with Rove now that Air Canada is a partner with a 25% transfer bonus until June 6th. All right, now another transfer bonus, but south of the border. Josh, Hilton Honors has an excellent transfer bonus that you've taken advantage of before, but you're not so sure you're going to this time.
Yeah, and before we get into it, it made sense more so in the past. We're going to talk about some numbers here that don't maybe make as much sense. So typically, transferring membership rewards in the United States to Hilton Honors is done so at a 1-to-2 ratio. So if you're transferring 10,000 MR, you're receiving 20,000 Hilton Honors points. They currently have a 20% transfer bonus until May 30th. So that means if you wanted a little over 100,000 Hilton Honors points, you'd be transferring about 42,000 membership rewards. This to me leans towards not as great deal as it once was. I think the last time I transferred Hilton Honors points was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Or transferred 2 Hilton Honors points from MR. It was 2 or 3 years ago. It was prior to a lot of the big devaluations for aspirational properties we've seen in recent times. And I believe when I transferred last time, the transfer bonus was like 40% or something. And I had way too many MR. I probably flipped maybe a total into like 500,000 Hilton points for a bunch of stays I had coming up shortly. It made sense then for me. I could still see this making sense if you needed like a top up, I guess, but you can also buy Hilton Honors points at 0.5 cents USD a lot of the time. The promotion is always running. It could even be running right now. It's running more often than not.
Yeah.
So I think the value is tough. And I still, at least for me in my strategy, I think the value of Hilton Honors points is becoming less. The value of Hilton Honors free night certificates continues to rise exponentially. I just made a booking this past weekend for what would be a total of 1 million Hilton Honors points with 4 free night certs.
Yeah.
Like, how do you beat that? That's insane, right? So, I would not transfer enough MR to get 1 million Hilton Honors points. If that was the case, there's no way I wouldn't even be making that booking. So I think it's tough. I think there's better uses for USMR. Maybe this if you need to top up for a redemption, but I wouldn't be transferring, a 300,000 MR welcome bonus to Hilton anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. Well, you probably wouldn't want to transfer that many. Another way to look at it, Josh makes a good point of you can often buy Hilton points for 0.5 cent USD each. So if you do the math on it, I'm not going to explain the math, but you can follow me if you follow me, and you don't if you don't, just because math in a visual format or an audio format never really makes sense. You're basically getting a value of 1.2 cents for every US MR that exists out there. Now, while that's better than redeeming directly for a statement credit through the travel portal, it's not much better. So that would be assuming that you wanted to pay cash for the stay. If you've got something that, you're going to get great value from, 1.5 to 2 cents for every US MR, I would say, yeah, go for it. But Josh is correct that it's not quite as appealing as it once was. But this could become more appealing if the Hyatt devaluation with Chase points is as bad as everybody kind of thinks it is. This could be a nice way to supplement some hotel stays. However, Josh makes an excellent point that Hilton free night certificates are probably the most valuable and easily applicable tool for reducing your out-of-pocket costs when it comes to hotels right now. All right, Jeff, we've got Korean Air and Asiana making some news. What's going on with them?
Yeah, we've been hearing about this merger for forever, it seems. Actually, Korean Air purchased or took over Asiana in 2020. So it's been 6 years in the making. And we finally have a date. Korean Air and Asiana will be merging on December 17th. So as you may or may not know, Asiana is a member of Star Alliance. I've actually flown on Asiana. It's not that great of an airline. It's nice that the option was there, but that's going to be going away on December 1st will be the last day that you can book an Asiana flight using Aeroplan points. After that date, Asiana will be leaving Star Alliance. There'll be no longer any award availability. And then on December 17th, the Asiana brand will be going away and the entire airline's operations will be folded into Korean Air. So we got another 6 months or so to book Asiana flights if you're looking to do it. It's a nice, I'm not going to call it objectively bad, but compared to what's out there, other Asian airlines, I would put them near the bottom of the totem pole. But still, it's a lie flat seat if you're looking to fly Trans-Pacific, and you're going to be in a relative amount of comfort.
Better than flying economy.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. And our last piece of news today before we get to our question is that American Express is going to discontinue Etihad Guest as a transfer partner effectively June 20th in Canada and effectively June 30th in the US. Not all that surprising from the Canadian side that they are going to discontinue. Very few cases to use Aeroplan, use Etihad points to book anything of use. There was an opportunity to book short-haul Air Canada flights for about 6,500 Etihad points, but even though I would be flying on a lot of those flights, I never did it just because the cancellation policy is terrible with Etihad. If you're canceling within, I think, 4 days, you just lose all your miles. So really, it's like booking a non-refundable ticket, which once you get into the world of points and miles and refundability, it loses its shine very quickly. I am a little bit surprised to see that they're discontinuing in the US just because airlines make a lot of money from selling their points to banks. And I would think that Etihad would want to continue on with that, but they're not. So maybe this means more availability through American Airlines to book Etihad first class and business class, I would hope. Considering that I'm not going to say outright for sure they're going to see a drop in rewards bookings. Maybe that's what they want, but certainly not having the ability for Americans to send all their points to Etihad and book directly, I don't see where they're going to make up their reward seats. I don't know. You guys have thoughts on that?
Well, the U.S. also had the advantage of being able to transfer 1-to-1,
yes.
where here in Canada,
that's true.
It was 1 to 0.75. So, I mean, if you did want to use Etihad Guest and you have U.S. MR, you'll want to do that soon.
Yes.
And I would do that over using the Canadian MR, of course. But honestly, I was just kind of surprised, but just because American Express Canada and American Express US are kind of almost two separate entities, and they never seem to work in lockstep.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're both eliminating Etihad Guest, I just kind of found
within like 10 days. Yeah, it is very odd. Normally they act like completely separate companies and with no relation at all. So
yeah, maybe it's something on Etihad's side where they just decided they didn't want that anymore. Does Etihad still support transfers from any North American banks? Do you guys know off the top of your heads?
I don't know.
I want to say it could be something obscure, like potentially Capital One down in the States. But at any rate, for most Canadians, it was never really something interesting, and it continues to be uninteresting as the transfer discontinues not the end of the month, at June 20th. So our question of the month comes from Tasha. She submitted this on the podcast form. Tasha says, this show has been helping me branch out to a few cards at Up My Points and Miles game. I caught one of the latest episodes mentioning the Amex Rewards transfer bonus to Flying Blue. I was able to take advantage of this thanks to you guys. Thank you so much. However, if I hadn't heard the episode close to when it came out, I would have missed the transfer bonus. Is there somewhere where you mention these specific promos? Is it the newsletter? Do you guys post on Instagram? Is it just the podcast, multiple places? Or is there something from Amex that I'm missing? I've seen other promos pop up in the app, but this one didn't. Thanks again. I'm saving up my points for my 20th anniversary trip. Well, we try to mention it in as many places as possible. But Josh, you might have some news on how we're going to be changing announcement of relevant transfer bonuses going forward.
For sure. So first of all, congrats on your 20th anniversary.
Yes.
I just have to say it. That's a huge milestone. And I think planning a big trip is one hell of a way to do it. We are, so as Danny mentioned, we definitely always try to mention on the podcast. We do try to get it in the newsletter. We do have a semi-monthly newsletter. If you're not already signed up for it, it's well worth signing up for. We do also have a miles and points transfer tool on FrugalFlyer.ca. We'll link that in the show notes, that we do keep up to date with transfer bonuses. And there's even a radio button at the top that you can click that only shows the current transfer bonuses with the percents and the end date. So that's worth paying attention to. We are going to be posting more articles when there are relevant transfer bonuses for Canadians. So we might not be posting about stuff going on in the United States, but we have an article coming on, or an article that was recently posted on the RBC Avion to Avios transfer, and we'd be doing something similar for a membership rewards to Flying Blue should that come back in the future, and so on and so forth. So as long as you're following the site or the podcast or the newsletter, it'll be somewhere in there. At worst case, you can bookmark that miles and points transfer tool as kind of your holy grail for this sort of stuff, so you're not missing out, and check it once a week or something like that. It doesn't need to be checked daily.
Yeah, and then on all of our newsletters as well, at the bottom of the newsletter, you'll always see the current miles and points transfer bonuses. So Jeff and I always go through and make sure that those are up to date before we click publish and send that newsletter out to everybody. So if you ever just want the news on transfer bonuses without needing to be reminded, when you get that Frugal Flyer newsletter, scroll straight down to the bottom, see what's going on for transfer partners. And we also cover U.S. programs in that as well. I don't think we've ever actually mentioned that on the show before. So thank you, Tasha, for bringing this to our attention so that we can highlight the fact that we always talk about every single transfer bonus that's happening every 2 weeks at the bottom of the newsletter. Fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Miles Ahead. We thank you very much for listening to us ramble on about all the points and miles news. If you found the show helpful, a review or a rating wherever you're listening would be spectacular. Comment on FrugalFlyer.ca on the episode page. You can also submit a question in our podcast form, or alternatively, just leave a comment wherever you're listening or watching, and we'll get right back to you. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.